It stopped recording.
Well,
This has been the craziest night
of technology.
of technology nonsense. Okay, so I went and done those.
You got shit weather going on?
There was some weather going on earlier today, but this is my computer. We're not even on the internet anymore.
I know.
So, all right, so we're good. I think we're just going to try to review everything. We'll go back to the first. Okay.
Yeah, we'll just say what we already said.
Yeah.
Just do it over.
I can yell some more. Okay, so in Luke chapter 5:31, we have Jesus answers them. It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. Okay? He did not come for the healthy. He came for the sick. The sick people that he came for were who?
The Jewish people.
The Israelites. Yes.
That's right. That's where he was born. That's who he grew up with. That's who he taught in the synagogues.
Yes.
That's the people he came to. Obvious.
So, who were the healthy?
Anybody but them.
Anybody but the Israelites was considered healthy.
Yeah.
Why?
So all Gentiles.
Why? Pretty simple. The Jews made an everlasting, eternal covenant with
forever.
a God calling himself Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
Forever. Eternity.
And like I was telling Josh before the stream
Go ahead.
messed up, is that they made this commitment for eternity with a God that if they didn't obey his rules, his laws, they give the right to him to be the judge, jury, and executioner. And what's the punishment for not obeying the laws? Eternity where?
Eternity in hell forever.
Exactly.
Separated from the real truth, love.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Instead of love, they wanted a God that would punish them if they didn't obey.
And he did. He murdered them all the time.
He did so.
This is why Jesus came. This character, his name wasn't even Jesus. This is why the man 2,000 years ago came. To break the vow that they had made. And the only way to break that was to fulfill their nonsensical, sinful law.
Yep.
It wasn't to redeem you from your sin.
with flesh that he says is worthless.
It was to redeem you from the nonsense that you put yourself under by taking a vow that enslaved you forever.
Yep. Yep.
And yes, I am amped up tonight because of the video that we just ended up watching from Michael Rood.
Yeah. He's such a loving person. Loves you so much, he wants to take you from the Christian narrative, which he does help tear down the walls of Christian doctrine, which is appreciative. I'll give him that. We do see that.
There are things I actually agree with him on. And he does have some truths, especially when it comes to the Christian narrative.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the problem, though, is he does basically what Paul did and tries to pull you back under the law. Even Paul
right
had
back
truth.
into another covenant when Jesus
Paul
told you not to take any vows?
Now, Paul even had some truths when he talked about what love was in 1 Corinthians 13. He told you what the love of the Father was, all the attributes of the Father, which none of them match up with the fake Yahweh in the Old Testament. But then he tells you to follow the laws of the fake Yahweh in the Old Testament. And so, see, everybody's got a little bit of truth.
And this
go
ahead.
But do they know the full truth, which is the love of the Father in them? That's what you got to find. That's what you got.
That's the truth, and that's the kingdom.
Yep.
And you only find that truth in the kingdom. So, why the Gentiles were not considered sick is because they never made an everlasting covenant for eternity.
Yep.
With this character calling himself Yahweh and saying that he's the only God. Remember, monotheism, one God. The Jews were the purveyors of that.
Yep.
And this is why Jesus came to them only.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus never said that he wants you to be in a new covenant.
No.
A new enslavement.
Now, he did tell the disciples to go out and minister to the Gentiles now, but only for the sake of they were
go into all the world.
Sure.
And wherever you find someone like the Jews, if you do, tell them the truth. You are free, divine, and sovereign. All you need to do is find the kingdom of love in you. You don't need to worship anything. They were worshiping things, but they didn't make an everlasting covenant for eternity.
And that's the part to tell the Gentiles was, listen, nothing outside of you is God. Nothing. They didn't have a covenant. They were worshiping idols, some of them. But just to tell them that the love's in you.
But the whole thing is they were worshiping gods that were put over them by the Most High God.
The Most High.
Allah. And not the one of today. It was a different Allah who had sons, 72 of them, and each one of them were set as the governors, basically, of the peoples of the earth.
Yep. And Yahweh's portion that was given to him by the Most High was Israel. But Yahweh didn't want to be looked at as just the God of Israel. He wanted to be the only God in the world.
All of them.
That's why he said no other gods before him. He was the God to rule them all.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And this is the person who casts his throne above the stars of heaven. In other words, the other gods.
Yep.
This was the one that done it.
And called himself God.
Yes, and called himself the only God.
Mm-hmm.
And tried to usurp
our
Allah,
authority.
The Most High God's authority. This is where these stories come from. And his original name, if you go to the Sumerians, was Anu. And this is the Anunnaki in their story. It's the same story. There's just different names for the same parts.
Exactly.
We call it God and his angels.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But Jesus came to fulfill a requirement of this character to break you free, not from your sins, from the sin, like John said, the sin of the world, the covenant that he made with the Jewish people, the Israelites. That was the sin of the world, the whole cosmos.
You can't make any vows, and you don't make covenants. You don't swear to anything or anybody, and definitely not any entity that you ask to come into you.
Right?
Now we're going to get into the Christian narrative there a little bit. Like,
yeah.
making an agreement with this entity, Jesus, the name that didn't even exist until fairly recent, to come into your heart where the Father already is. It makes no sense.
I can get things to work right tonight. That would be really nice.
You know, Yahweh don't like us.
There's some real kind of crazy things.
You know, Josh is going to lay hands on his computer suddenly.
Well, since I quoted the verse, I'm going to show them the verse. I'm just going to try to quote something, but
well, you don't want to.
John 1:29. The next day, John saw Jesus coming towards him and said, "Look, the Lamb of God, who takes away the one sin of the world." One.
Mm-hmm. Not the sins.
And we can go right here to the word sin and show them. A sin.
Mm-hmm.
One. A sin. The failure. The sinful deed. A fault.
A fault, a deed, a sin.
And
all
the
singular.
One that was the covenant that they made.
With a God.
Yeah, imagine
not
that.
The God. Not the God.
So then we have Luke 5:32. I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance. Again, he never came for the Gentiles.
No.
Because they never made that eternal covenant.
Mm-hmm.
This was the sin of the cosmos.
It's for you that don't know what cosmos is. It's the world, the everything.
Everything in this existence. This was the one sin.
Yep.
Why? Because it was blasphemy to the love inside of you.
To give your freedoms and your rights and your power
and your authority
to something outside of you. Absolutely. That's all yours.
This is the whole point of why Jesus came to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
To free us, not to enslave us again into a new covenant. That was Paul's doing. Jesus never said new covenant. He said, I am the covenant.
Exactly.
The covenant.
Law.
So that he could break
the
nonsense that they were doing. That's why he said he would fulfill that covenant. So he could end it.
So like taking the law and the covenant onto his flesh and killing it.
And killing it. Imagine that.
Killing it.
It wasn't to save you from your sins and then push you back into another covenant.
Yeah, it wasn't so
well,
that
you're
you
a slave again.
Ask him later to come into your heart, like Paul tells us. It was to be done with it. The end. It is finished, he said. It is finished. It's over. Everybody can be free now if you believe the words that I said, the things that I've taught.
And the one who sent me,
and then the
it
one who
wasn't
sent
Yahweh.
me.
Wasn't
That's right.
Yahweh who sent him. It was love.
That's right.
You have eternal life.
And always did. Always did.
But the church is enslaved.
Mm-hmm.
The people never have any sense of forgiveness ever. They're continually damned consciously, because this is where Yahweh says he's putting his commandments into your mind and binding your heart.
Around your heart, yeah. And then you go to the indoctrination stations where if you do start to feel like you're free, they're going to remind you that you're not.
Yep.
They're gonna, if you start to feel like that you're worthy of something, they're going to remind you that you're
worthless. That you're the scum of the earth. That you're wretched and no good.
Filthy rag sinner. You're just a filthy, stinking rag sinner. You put Jesus on the cross. It's your fault. And remind you every day you need to ask him to forgive you for doing it. We're back under the law that Moses put out, Yahweh's law, and the laws of now New Christianity and all their rules.
Yep. Got to keep them all, buddy. Got to keep all of them. But we're not saved by those laws, but we're going to make sure you know all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can't uphold them, you're going to feel like you're just a dirty, rotten piece of crap your whole life.
Jesus didn't come to do away with the law, but to fulfill it.
Yes, he fulfilled it.
That means Jesus said we have to obey all Moses' laws.
No, it don't.
That's
he
not
fulfilled it to free you from it.
He fulfilled it and ended it. He ended the insanity.
But what do people always do? Just like the Jews always done? Put themselves right back into slavery.
Yep. Why have they struggled their whole existence? Because they never got it. They never got the truth. They always put themselves back in it, and they were always punished. He wants you to serve him, then he'll punish you for doing it. The thing is, you can't do it for very long because it's nonsense.
Yeah, there we go. Hopefully this proves some things to some people and this opens your eyes.
That's our hope. Every video is somebody's eyes open.
Yeah, John 15:15. I no longer call you servants. Oh, let's look up that word servants there.
Oh, boy.
Slave.
Here we go. Imagine that.
Why? Because they stopped believing the nonsense.
Who would they be a slave to, Josh?
Yahweh.
That's the one.
They were enslaved to the God that they put themselves under, Yahweh.
With the covenant.
This is why Paul told you he was a slave to the Lord, Baal.
Yep.
So I no longer call you slaves. Because a slave does not know his master's business.
Yep.
Or what his master is doing. Whose master? Who's master?
I didn't catch what you were saying at the end, bro. I'm sorry.
For a servant does not understand what his master is doing. For a servant does not understand what his master is doing. For a slave does not understand what his master is doing. The master which if you go look at the word master, we'll look at it real quick. Lord, master. A slave does not know what his absolute ownership rights Lord is doing to him.
Mm-hmm.
You're a slave to Yahweh, the master.
And Jesus told
And you do
you're
not
no
know
longer
what he done to you because you
Mm-hmm.
think that he is what? You
Love.
think
You
he
think
is
he's love.
God.
Yep.
He's not.
And people still think that he's the love, that he's the Father of Jesus talked about. They still call him Lord.
But I call you friends
Mm-hmm.
because everything I have learned from my Father, who is not the master, the Lord, the enslaver,
Yep.
I have made known to you. Now, the other day we was doing a podcast and I went off the handle when we was talking about kids and believing they were monsters
Yeah,
and
that was good,
sinners.
though.
And I told you, no, we are the prized possession. Now, I had never read this until today, this
Mm-hmm.
verse.
Yep.
And my spirit told me to go and look at the word friends.
Mm-hmm.
Beloved, dear, friendly. It also means prized.
Imagine that.
A friend, someone dearly loved, prized. Imagine that. We are the prized possession. We're not worthless. We are what the farmer went out and found and sold everything for.
Yep.
For his prized possession that he found. Just wanted to show that to people.
No, that's good stuff, man. And you know, when we become, we start learning the things of this world and religion and things, and we put the love to sleep in us, we're now lost. And our hopes, though, when talking in these videos, that your eyes are open and that you may be found. That when you find the truth in you, the Father in you, that love is in you, and that's all you
prized possession in you.
That now the Father has found his prized possession again, and you've returned to your first love.
Yes, which is love.
Real love, which is real love. That's right.
This is what it talks about, returning back to your first love, not Yahweh.
No.
Before Yahweh. When you was a child and knew not Yahweh, you had love.
Before the creation of the world.
That
we
too.
had love. We were known then. We were known then.
When John says, I give you a new law, but it's an old law, it doesn't mean the 10 Commandments. It means before the 10 Commandments.
Which you were just love.
It was the original law.
Mm-hmm.
It was love.
Yep.
There we go. Get the camera focused back again.
It's like the true light of divinity that dwells in each and every man that comes into this world. The supreme divinity, love, energy, light. That was here before anything and is the ruler of all things, and the creator of all things.
Now we got one verse left so
all
far.
Right.
Well, as of right now. Something else pops up. Okay, so here it is. Matthew 9:13. But go and learn what this means. Now, the other two verses are talking about the righteous and the sinners. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. For I have not come to call the righteous who give mercy, unlike the God of the Jews and the Israelites who murders everyone
And everything.
and sacrifices everything.
Yep.
The sinners were sacrificing. Who were the sinners, John? The Israelites.
The Jews. Yeah.
There were some of the Gentiles who were doing sacrifices, and they were wrong too. But
That's
just
right.
to prove that not all of the Gentiles were, Jesus told you, I have sheep not of this flock.
Mm-hmm.
Because there were people out in the world who were living by love,
That's right.
who were not Jewish or Israelites.
Under the contract.
When they went into Jericho, that person wasn't Jewish, was she?
Oh, that let him in? No,
Yeah.
she wasn't Jewish.
Imagine that. How about the lady at the well? She
Not
might have been
Jewish.
Jewish. She might have been. She was a Samaritan, we know that, right?
That's true. It's true. She might have been.
But they had no part of it, any of the covenant.
Nope.
Because they were not allowed to go up to Jerusalem and what? Worship Yahweh.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't go to the temple.
But Jesus told her to go and sin no more. Jesus told that to a lot of people.
Yeah, he did.
And not once did they ever ask forgiveness of anything.
Mm-mm.
Why? Because Samaritan wasn't living under the same law as everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that. And all the riffraff that Jesus hung out with from the Pharisee standpoint, they wasn't living under the laws either.
Nah.
They were called the sinners and the scourge of the earth.
That's why they were the outcasts, because they wasn't the religious.
And they wasn't following the laws either that the Jewish people, the Sadducees and Pharisees were giving people.
Well, who are you looked at as now by the church, Josh? If you go into, if people would go and say, "Hey, let's
they look
Johnny
at me as
and
the
Josh,"
devil.
yeah, we're calling out this crap, and we ain't even sinners. We're way past sinners. People are scared for us, literally.
The Father of Jesus was love, and
Mm-hmm.
it's called mercy he gives. He never sacrifices. Never asks for a sacrifice.
Not even once. And doesn't even ask you to make yourself a living sacrifice.
No, that's more nonsense by
Yep.
Yahweh.
Yep.
It's just like, we said before, Jesus never talked about Adam the garden original sin in that sense. The only time Jesus mentioned original sin is when he told the blind man in chapter 9 of John, he had no original sin.
Yep.
He was not born blind because of his own sin prior to his birth or his parents' sins being passed on to him. That was Jewish, Israelite nonsense from Yahweh. Part of that whole system of bullcrap, lies,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
of the covenant that they made.
Yep.
Well, this has been a pretty short video.
Pretty strong one, though.
Yeah.
Pretty strong.
To find the kingdom, you have to return to a point in your life where you do not have a covenant or know anything about a covenant in laws, in rules, in regulations to govern you.
Exactly.
This country here in America was supposed to be founded on the principle of self-rule.
Supposed to be.
And that is
Supposed
a
to
principle
be.
of the love inside of you.
Sure it is.
That you can rule
Self-rule.
yourself. Imagine that you can control yourself, govern yourself. You do not need some external God, one calling himself one anyway, to put yourself in slavery and can never obtain righteousness through his nonsense. When you already have love inside of you.
Yep.
But the Jewish people, the Israelites, wanted a God, so they got one. They wanted to leave Egypt, and they sold themselves into slavery to get it.
You know, we have a battle. I was thinking about this while you're talking. We have a battle in America over freedoms and rights.
Yep.
And, you know, with the people that, you know, they want to keep the rights to own their guns. And then you get people on the other side, well, we should have the right to have gay marriage. And everybody is all worked up about the rights and freedoms we have here in this plane of existence, on this earth.
In America,
but
yes.
In America. But nobody anywhere is concerned about their spiritual freedom. The freedom.
No, because we've been told that we have to enslave ourselves.
Exactly.
Like Paul said, he was a slave to the Lord Baal.
That's right. That's right.
Why would you listen to anybody who is a slave to something else? When Jesus told you, you were no longer under that nonsense. Once you stop believing it, you're no longer under it. You're freed from it.
Right. It's not about the works and laws and things now.
It never was to the whole world except for the Israelites.
You know, listening to one of those videos that you'll get to, Josh, the ones from CNN.
Oh, finding Jesus.
Yeah. The one that you're going to see talking about James, and they're talking about the part where they're talking about how James and Paul didn't get along, and they were obviously at war with each other with their letters. And so it was talking about how, you know, Jesus said, you know, I'm going to be gone. If you want truth, talk to James. And if you look at the chronological order of the way the New Testament's supposed to be put together, the first book's supposed to be James.
Right.
And then, of course, you got Paul that comes at you with, no, it is about the law. It is about the works. It is about this. And James telling you, no, it isn't. It's just so interesting. We want to believe the ones that put us under bondage.
Well, man, Paul done a masterwork. Let me tell you. Okay, so James says that to show who you truly are, the fruits of who you are, it's by the works that you do.
Yep.
Now, the works he's referring to is love permeating out of you and you loving people. It wasn't, oh, I done 12 good deeds today, I'm holy. No, it's just you being you and being love.
Yep. You just
Paul,
being love. Go ahead.
to enslave you,
Mhm.
says, no, it's free salvation by giving up your soul to a God again, like the Jews
Mhm.
did. And you don't have to do works. You don't
Yep.
have to love people. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do the fruits of love. That's what
Just
he
sit
was
on the-
talking about.
Just sit on the pew and look pretty. Listen to the pastor.
And this is what
Give you-
this is what the church
give
don't
your money.
understand. The fruits aren't works as in I go out and do something. It's who I am.
The things that you do out of love is just that. It's out from the love that's within
I don't
you.
go and help somebody because I think I'm going to be revered as holy like the Pharisees did.
No, you don't go and do something in the efforts to prove that you have love.
Exactly.
Because you have love,
there are things that you're
occasionally
going
that
to
you
do.
inherently just because.
And by looking at someone's life and seeing what they do on a daily basis,
And for
you
what
can
reason?
know
Yep.
just by what they do and how they act.
You'll know them by their fruits.
And this is why Jesus.
You can tell it. You can tell if somebody's doing something out of love or out of look at me.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of look at me.
If I'm on the news telling you that I just gave $1 million to Cancer Society, I'm full of the devil. I'm telling you right now, I'm full of the devil, because Jesus said, don't let your right hand know what your left hand's doing. In other words, do everything in secret that nobody knows what you're doing, because you don't want to look like the Pharisees who are boasting out in public, saying they're doing these things and keeping these laws and crap, and they're not doing nothing. They're doing it to look good and holy in front of people. That's not why we do things.
You know, it used to frustrate the crap out of me. This is before I even come into truth. This was when I was young, real young, teenager, maybe even before. And I started noticing the inner workings of the church. Like, my dad pastored a couple of churches, and he's been an evangelist forever. And I started noticing the inner workings, and I noticed people getting receipts back when they were paying their tithes. And at the end of the year, my dad got a statement showing all the tithes and offerings that he had paid for the year. I said, what's that for? He's like, this is for doing your taxes.
Yep, you can write it off as a deductible.
A deductible, a charitable deductible. I was like, what's that mean? He's like, well, you may end up getting money back on it.
Yep.
I said, why would you ever need this to get any money back if you're giving out of your heart? If that's what's supposed to be God's anyway, why are you trying to get back with God?
This is why we're told to give freely.
Yep.
If it's going to hinder you and you're going to worry about what you gave, we were told not to give.
Yep.
Because it's about the reasoning why you're doing something.
Absolutely.
Most people
not because you're afraid that you're going to be cursed. Not because you're afraid that you're going to be cursed.
Right.
I'm so sick and tired of hearing Christians say, you know what? I know why bad things are happening to me. I know why my health isn't good. I know why I know why the lights are getting shut off. I wasn't able to pay the tithes, and now I'm under a curse. You believe the God of love is going to give you bad health, and you live in poverty, and you ain't able to feed your kids because you couldn't pay a freaking tithe.
Yep, they do.
That ain't my God. I'm sick of hearing it. They
have to obey the old law when Jesus done away with that. But they'll put themselves right back in it and make themselves have to keep all these laws and regulations, and I have to go to church 3 times a week or I'm not saved.
How in the heck can a preacher preach about the love of the Father, right? The love of Jesus, and then turn around and say that somebody's cursed because they didn't give their money to the church?
Because that's the rules they live under.
It's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense because it's retarded.
Love doesn't curse anybody.
Yeah.
It frees
It
you.
can't.
It redeems you. It restores you. It does not curse you.
I'm going to tell you right now, if anybody listens to this video and you're struggling with paying tithes to your church and you can't feed your kids,
don't pay.
You pay tithes, you're being a bad parent. And that's me saying it. And I'm saying it from the love in me. You're being a bad parent. Love your babies and feed them.
Why would the Father want you to go hungry?
Yeah.
When he provided you the means, the monies to get the things that you would need. Yep. And if you want to pay tithes to the real Father of Jesus, if you really want to do that, that 10% goes to you and the love inside of you.
Yep.
It's not to a man. It's not to a building. It's not to Caesar. It's not to the Pope.
Doctrine.
It's not to your pastor. Love's inside of you. Give tithes to yourself.
If you just want to make
take
somebody
that 10%, set it back so you can and your family can go on a vacation in a year or so.
If you want to line the pockets of somebody, why don't you go find a needy person and help them out?
No, we can't do that. Can't give money to those sinners. Can't give money to those bums. Can't give money to the people walking the streets. We can't help the family down the street because they're selling meth.
They're just going to go buy alcohol with it. I love you know what, Miss Cindy. We talk about Cindy.
Yeah.
I love the story one time. She was with a boyfriend of hers. And they were at I don't know, Taco John's, Hardee's, something. I don't know. Some little fast food place. And there was a homeless guy sitting outside of the window. And she said God told her to go give him money. Now, I firmly believe it was the love of the Father that said, go give that man some money.
Yeah.
Right? And her boyfriend, I ain't going to talk about him. Love you, Cindy. Ain't going to talk about him.
No. I'm laughing for a different reason. We have like 3 different versions of the video that we were trying to do earlier.
That's fun. So he says, what are you going to do? What'd you do that for? He's just going to take that and buy alcohol. You know what she says? I guess God wanted him to have a drink then. Said he told me to give it, so I give it.
He did Noah.
And I'm down with that. Do what?
He did for Noah, didn't
he? Yeah, right? Got drunk as a skunk. Oh, he followed Yahweh. He didn't drink. Oh, well. Got drunk, people.
Yeah. No, he did not go get drunk. He went and planted a full vineyard, which takes 3 to 4 years, people.
And then he got drunk a lot.
And then he got drunk for however long. And then he finally came out of his stupor.
Oh, Christian.
And noticed that there was a kid sitting there that wasn't his.
That's right. Well, where did that kid come from? Ooh.
They did mention that in the Herod video yesterday about John the Baptist, that Herod uncovered the nakedness of his brother's wife. Yeah, they actually said it in the video. I was shocked. Which means that he slept with his brother's wife, and he married her as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is what Herod the king did. I just thought that was pretty cool that they, I've actually heard that actually said somewhere besides us.
Yeah, back with Noah's wife and his son.
Yep, same thing.
People just lost their mind at it again.
Ham uncovered the nakedness of his father, which was his mother, and he slept with her. And they had a son named Canaan, and that's why Canaan was cursed by Noah.
Yep.
It
Daddy
wasn't
came
some
home and
future
found out he had
sign
another kid.
that Cain had with some other woman. No.
Had it with his mom. Study the scriptures, people.
But
I was told recently
you only
to study
believe
the
that
Bible.
you only believe those curses and stuff if you believe them.
Yep. But they believed them. They believed
And
them.
some of them still do today.
That's right.
You're not cursed, people. Stop
No,
believing the
you're not.
lies.
You're not no
Once
curse.
you
I'm gonna
stop
tell you right now,
believing
I'm
the
not cursed.
nonsense, you're free.
Curses are broken. Once you decide to follow the love that Jesus told you about, the love that was in him, the Father.
You know, seek ye first the kingdom, not seek ye first the church.
Yep. Exactly.
Not
Once you
seek
find the
first
kingdom.
not seek you first going to the church and down to the altar and giving your soul over to an entity
Yep.
named Jesus. No, find the kingdom first. And guess what? It's not in a building. It's in you.
And all those curses are broken. They're broken. They don't exist. He tried to show the Israelites, what we're talking about in this whole video. He tried to show the Israelites that all that crap was broken, and he ended it when he took it upon himself,
Yep.
all that sin, and broke the curse, broke the covenant. It is
When
finished.
he broke the covenant, it is finished.
That's right.
You no longer have to live under that nonsense anymore and be bound, your soul be bound for eternity to some entity calling himself Yahweh. You're free. But you can, I've always had this thing, man. And it comes from, I guess it came from the love inside of me.
Yeah.
You have to fight for your freedom. And
But
the
you're
cost
fight.
is your soul, your life.
That's
and the fight is within your mind.
You know what? Jesus, he let them kill his flesh. He gave up the soul, right?
Yeah.
When he was baptized, let him kill this flesh. And that was his payment to break the curse, to break the covenant.
He gave, like you said, he gave Caesar back what is Caesar's.
That's right.
He gave Yahweh's back what was Yahweh. Yahweh gave you the breath of life, the soul. Yep. He gave it back to him.
Yep.
That's why we tell you, you have to denounce it. Denounce that breath of life because it's not real life. It ends.
You know, but you were talking about the fight.
Yeah.
And Jesus did that fight too.
Yeah.
And he made a payment, right? He denounced the soul, and then he made the payment to break the curse.
Yes.
And that's what we got to do.
It's not at the cross, though. That's not when he made the payment.
No.
He rendered what Caesar's was Caesar's. He gave back Yahweh what's his.
That's right. Give the Father what was his.
You have dominion over that soul that you gave us. You enslaved that soul. Here, it's yours.
Yep.
Because now he was living out of love. This is what we were talking about the other day, and him saying that he is the bread of life, right? When he was talking about the other scripture, when he was talking about you had to partake of the love, right? To live again, right? To be born back, not out of your soul, but out of love. And that it preserves this existence. in the memories of the soul that was here. This is what we're
And to do
talking
that-
about.
To do that, you had to listen to the words that he spoke that were spirit and were
Yes.
from love, from life, right? They're
True
spirit
life.
and their life.
The eternal true life, not the age-enduring nonsense that Yahweh does.
Yep.
Or the one calling himself Yahweh in the Bible. If you have anything else, bro, we can talk about it, or if you're good, I'm good.
No, I'm pretty good. This has been a good message. It's a to the point message. It's
That took 50 minutes.
it's freeing. You know, this
It is. This life is free.
This is a message of freedom, breaking the bondage, breaking the chains that bind you. What are the chains that bound us? The covenant.
The covenant.
The one that Paul invited us into too. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, he brought you into a
Right.
new covenant. And notice he's the only one that said new covenant.
Yep. Well, now you hear all the preachers talking about.
Yeah, they try to make it like
It's
Jesus said
protect.
he didn't. Jesus said he was the covenant. The
Yeah.
singular covenant.
Yeah. And when he's talking about that, he wasn't talking about his flesh, because he killed it too, right there. He was talking about the love in him, the love of the Father that you have also. So this is a good message of freedom.
Be free.
He that has ears
free.
to hear, let him hear. He that has eyes to
And,
see.
and to live truly free and unbound by anything or anyone or any God is to find the love inside of you, because it is the Father.
He who the Son sets free is free indeed. And I'm the
And
Son that
love
set
sets
myself
you
free.
free.
That's
Your
right.
own love sets you free.
That's right. I'm the Son that set me free.
The
'Cause I
soul is
found the
eternally
King.
bound. You
Yep.
have to let it go.
And by doing so, you'll preserve it.
You will preserve the, I would say, essence or memory. You will preserve this
Essence,
existence.
Essence is good. I like that. I think it fits.
Because it's more
The
than just a
essence of who
memory.
you-
It's
It's the essence of who you are here.
yes. It will remember this version of you.
Mm-hmm.
This one, the one currently.
Now, and it's literally like now that you're whole. And here's how you're whole. The spirit of love, the spirit of the Father that is who you are, has now connected to the essence of who you are. We're here. And now you're one.
Yes.
You know the Father, and the Father knows you because you know him.
And now you're no longer the Father. You're the Son.
You're the Son. Is that good?
Because you're something new. You're
Mhm.
not the soul. You're not love. They're one.
You're a new person in what? They
A
say in
new
Christ.
creation.
They say a new person in Christ. Or a new
Something that's
creation.
never existed before.
Yep.
The two, the soul and love, becoming one.
One. That's right.
All right, let's go ahead and close out. Or unless you got something else to say.
No, I was going to say.
Go ahead.
I don't even remember what I was going to say now. Stepped on it. That's all right. It wasn't that big. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to comment in the comment section. We love it, love it, love it.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not sure we're going to have another video. We'll probably have another video before New Year, won't we?
Well, that all
If
depends on somebody.
If not, we're
We
not
can
going to
do one-
see him until
We can do one
gonna see him
tomorrow if
until
you
the-
want. I'm off tomorrow.
I might be able to do one tomorrow.
What's her
Depends
name?
if we're
What's her
talking
name
to-
goes to work,
talk-
don't she?
Who?
Your sister goes to work Monday, don't
Yes, yes. This goes to work tomorrow. So there will be some free time, but we got to talk to that pastor probably too.
Well, if
Or maybe
if that comes through, then we can do that, and then afterwards we can have a podcast.
And plus, we got like a Sunday school teacher that's going to be on a podcast here pretty soon.
Yeah, I hope so.
Somebody actually agreed to come on.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna give him all the props in the world because.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome. We're all about it. We ain't going to be on here to fight with nobody.
No, I don't need to fight with nobody because I don't do that. You want to come on here and talk civil? We can talk civil. I'm cool with that.
And we invite any Christian, any pastor, any Sunday school teacher, anybody that disagrees. It don't matter what you are, who you are. If you don't agree with what the things that
I will try not to be amped up on those days.
Too amped up.
I will try.
If I have y'all trying to yell over each other just to get a point, I'm like, hey.
Honestly, if we're going to have somebody in here talking, it's going to be civil.
Just like this, like we're talking now.
Yeah.
That's right. But so we're excited about that possibility. And we'll do some more. If not, we're not going to see anybody until next decade.
The next decade, like 2 days from now.
That's a long pause.
Yeah.
Wait till next
All right.
decade.
So, as always, live free, live divine, do the Father's will that's within you, that you create out of your own love. This is what the one thing the church doesn't ever get about when people talk like this, because there's been people that have said things like this before, like we do.
Mm-hmm.
And they think that because you have freedom, that means you're going to run out and murder, rape, pillage, because that's what's in their heart to do. But they don't do it because God would murder them for eternity.
In hell. That's right.
In hell.
That's right.
Because that's what's in their heart and in their mind.
They
but
think
when you
everyone's
live
that
out of
evil.
love, you are free. Because when you're living out of love, you're not going to do things that, one, murder people, because that's not love.
Yeah, you won't harm others. And you're not going to do stuff that harms yourself because you love yourself too.
Exactly.
Imagine that, loving yourself. I'm not a filthy rag.
And to the church, that is blasphemous words, to love yourself and to love others. Even though they'll profess those things, they don't believe them because they're not love. They're not perfected in love.
And the proof's in their fruits. You can see there is a lack of love in the church.
Rage.
Major.
Look at the rage that comes from them when you talk about abortion or homosexuality or something.
Yeah.
Like immediately, like, boom, rah, I'm going to, rah.
Well, have a needy family go into a church and ask the church for help.
Well, are you a member here?
Have you paid tithes in the last 6
Sorry,
months
we
here?
cannot help you.
That's right. Oh, the love of Jesus isn't it great?
It's just the outpouring.
It just fills my heart with happiness and joy.
All right, well, we gotta go because we got less than a minute for to be under an hour. So.
Oh crap! Jeremy will be happy if it's less than an hour. All right.
Well, if you be quiet so I can end this already.
Be blessed.
Unlocking the secrets of the
Unlocking the secrets of the universe.
Awakening Podcast.
Oh no, I think I've lost my mind.
I think I've lost it all.
Oh no, I think I've
I'm not sure what that was, people, but
lost control.
pray for him.
I don't know. There's a duck in here. Don't pray for me. Hold up.